the idea is that each lesson we give will build on the previous one. Learning what you've learned on the line will hold you in good stead for the next ones. I want to look at the rectangle tool next. And again, that's one of those tools that looks quite simple. Now, there's 3 different types of rectangles, and there's a number of ways you can get at the rectangle. Now, you'll notice that my toolbar up here is somewhat different to Mal's, and that's because I've added extra tools that I use regularly. But with the rectangle tool, we have what we call a 2-point rectangle, a center rectangle, and a 3-point rectangle, and we'll cover each of those in turn. So to get at them in the sketch, if you click on the create and you come down there to rectangle, and you can see there we've got 2-point rectangle, 3-point and center rectangle, and I dragged 2 of these up onto here to give me a quick shortcut. But you don't need any of that really, because if you're in sketch mode, as we are there, if you just press R on the keyboard, you can see over here your sketch palette now adds an extra option on the top which shows you 3 types of rectangles: 2-point, 3-point and center rectangle. Much easier to get at than all these toolbars up here, so you can dismiss some of these and go that way. Again, as we've said earlier, this was something I was not aware of. It was there, I became aware. I don't know how long it's been there for, but to get there, as I say, if we come out of the rectangle, hit rectangle, and you get your choices up there. So let's first look at the 2-point rectangle and go into some detail. So we click on that to select it, and the 2-point rectangle really is, you put down your first point and you click it, and then you drag your rectangle to where you want it, and you click the second point, and there's your 2-point rectangle. Now I want to go back over that because we need to look at the dimensioning a bit closer than what we have done. So let me just go back, and we go back into our rectangle, 2-point rectangle, first point, second point. Don't click. If you click, it will lay that rectangle down like that with no dimensions. So we go back, 2-point rectangle, point 1, point 2, and hold it, just stay where you want to go. Now you can see one of the dimension boxes is highlighted in blue. That means it's active, and you can type in whatever size you want. So we'll make that 50. Type in 50. My system is set up for millimeters. As we heard in the previous video, to go across to the height, we press the tab button. That moves across to the dimension, and we can type in whatever dimension we want in there. Now when we press the enter key, the rectangle is fixed and we have dimensions on here. Excuse me a moment. Now while we're on dimensions, let's have a little look at this. If we want to move the dimensions around, we can just go on the dimension, click on it, click on the line. Whoops, start again. Let me take off my show mouse a minute because it's getting in my way. Click on the line and we can alter the dimension. That's handy if you've got several dimensions on a drawing, and this way of moving dimensions will apply on any dimensions. And you can see by moving the mouse up and down, you can move the position of the 30. Handy when you have dimensions that, as I say, stacked up. Let's go back one stage again and do another one, because this time, just to show you, we've clicked it. We've got the size we want, but there's no dimension on it, so we can't really alter that rectangle by changing the dimensions. But what we can do is add dimensions retrospectively. So if we go up to the toolbar and click on the dimension sketch button, and then come down and click on the line in question, we can add a dimension to it. And then we can change that dimension. and the same on this one. Click on it and change the dimension to whatever we want it to be. And of course that enables us to go back at any time to edit, double click on it and change it to what we want. So even if you draw your rectangle, and this applies to any shape or any line, even if you draw it from point A to point B by looking at what the dimensions are shown alongside the mouse, or from a point A to point B in your drawing, you can add dimensions later with the dimension command. So if you forget to add the dimension, don't worry too much about it. So that's the 2-point rectangle. Delete that lot, and we'll now look at the center point rectangle, which is very much the same but a bit easier because it draws out from a center point. So if we click there and we drag, it goes either side of a center point. Pressing the left mouse button will fix it in position and turn it blue. Again, I forgot to go into dimensions. So again, we can click on dimensions, bring it down and add a dimension. And we'll call that 120. And we'll do the same on that one. I'm doing this twice just so you can get it clear in your mind. Now if we want to increase the size of the box, we can double click on that one and we can say make it 150. And that becomes 150. But the center point will move because the center point moves to be in the center of the box. The box doesn't extend either side of it, unfortunately. Let me go back and we'll go on that one again. Press R into center box and we can type in the measurements now of say 90, tab 30, enter, and there's our box again. Double click, change the dimension, and you've got a new one, but the center point is lost on this. Now the final one on the rectangle is a 3-point rectangle. Now a 3-point rectangle, both the center rectangle and the 2-point one only allows you to draw a rectangle horizontally or vertically. The 3-point one allows you to draw any shape. So your first point may be there, the second point may be there, and then you slide up there to draw the rectangle. Again, to put dimensions on, as we've seen earlier, we can do it. But this time, the dimensions are the height, not the length of the side. And the same will happen with this one. Whoops, where are we? Dimensions. So if you want the length of the side, you can see the difference there. You might want the length that way, and you can fix it. We'll change that to 60. And let me go on this one to show you the other side again. Again on that one, come out straight. It's a bit fiddly, and you're getting the length. If you come out straight, you're getting the height. So that allows you to set this rectangle either by the horizontal and vertical distances between 2 points, as we've got there, or the actual length of the line itself, as we've got there. Now one other thing while we're on this one is, and this applies to the other ones, how can we change the angle of this one? Now going back to what Mal mentioned on the line, the way to do this, or one way of doing it, is to hit a line, do a construction line, and bring a line out there parallel. If you then use the dimension command, you can click that line, and if you come down and click that line, you get the angle in, and that allows us to change the angle and go back and change the angle. Now, of course, this reference line that I've drawn here can be anywhere. If I take it away, go back to where, suppose I was to draw, for some reason I need this on an angle, and my reference line is, say, there. And I want it at an angle to that reference. Then dimension again, click on there, and that's the angle you get. Make that 36. So there's our 3 rectangles. Mal saved a lot of work by going into the line in great detail, which is good, because that saves me going through a lot of things here. So you've got the 2-point rectangle, which is basically point A to point B. Now, should you accidentally draw it in construction line, then all you need to do is highlight the lines and change them back again. Or you can do the quick way of draw around them and change them back that way. That's all construction, change them again, all back solid. And then the 3-point angle is 1, change it to a drawing line, 1, and up there for the 3rd one. And the center one is a center point and either side of it. Now you can, it's difficult to angle this one because you're down there, but if you wanted to angle it, you can do it in the same way. So if I can demonstrate, or try and demonstrate that for you, because of course we can't put it on an angle from there, but what we can do is to go that fashion, and then if we dimension that line, it picks up the double line. So what you're going to have to do is to get that at 45 degrees. The way I would do that is to draw a line, a construction line down here at 45 degrees, say, and then I can dimension that one and that one, and I've over constrained it, so it won't do it because I've got constraints on that are telling it that it's 90-degree angles. So you can't angle them. The only way you can angle is this 3.1. So the 2.1, to recap, is point A to point B, horizontal or vertical. The center one is a rectangle equally bound around the center point, again horizontally or vertically. If you need a rectangle at an angle, then it's going to be a 3.1 where you can then put the angle in. I think that more or less covers the rectangle. I'm not aware that we've missed anything. I don't think so. Let me just check. I've done the dimension tool with you. Yeah. And you're happy with the dimension tool? I will just run through that once more with the dimension tool for you. And this applies to all of them. So we'll do it on the 3.1 there. And I've forgotten to add the dimensions, so we can add them. And this applies with any shape or line, hexagon, circle that we do. Come down, add a dimension, and we'll add it that way. Click on that, and we'll make that 30. Dimension, pull it off, click on it. Let's make it 60. And we want it at a 45-degree angle. So the answer there is to draw a little horizontal construction line. Doesn't need to be a big one. And then we can go dimension, angle between there and there, hit it to set it, and then type it what you want, 45 degrees, and up it spins. And of course, now because we got angles on it, these angles can be saved in the parameters, which we'll come on to later, or you can go back to your sketch at any time and just double click and change it to what you want. That finishes the rectangle.